Welcome back to another video. This thing seems... There we go. Welcome back. And post I made, I talked to... Actually, this page here. So I should remember what I put. Because I can't... Also, I don't have my cat. I would love to bring her in here again. But she's eating, so I don't want to bother. Plus, ain't no food bowl in here for her to eat out of. So, I just want to let her eat. Yeah, it's a little early for me. This days I won't be honest. So in this stream, in the last stream, I couldn't get C++ to work. But, like it says, I got to work finally. Somewhat. I mean, it's working good, somewhat. There's stuff I need to fix, I think. And I also got VM that will run Temple OS, which I do have ready running. I've looked around, but this is it right here. That's not the last post, really. Okay, I've probably another one. If not, do I have anything scheduled? I'm not sure if I have anything scheduled for stuff like this. I don't think I do. Let's just shut down the list because I don't want to YouTube this time. We're just going to say this native. Alright, wow. But I'll see my background to Area 51. It's cool. Also, I got something to show y'all. I'm pretty sure I got it in my bio. Let me make sure. Because I don't want to add it. When you see Wattpad, not because I read on it. I don't read on Wattpad. I'm better than that. See, I don't have it. I won't pull up the translator. I'm not fluent in German yet, sadly. What is it doing? I think that's it, yeah. So, I'm just going to copy. This is just mine Wattpad. I'm not sure. Yeah, it's just, oh. Why is this on Google? I thought I put DuckDuckGo. I use DuckDuckGo for a lot of stuff. So if I go here, it's not DuckDuckGo, right? Let's check the bow. Alright, and speaking of that, go to my account, it's a mess. A very big mess. You got a bunch of stories and stuff. These are not even all. You just got a bunch of stuff. It's an issue, but on mobile, sadly, you can't. I don't think you can access series. Got the Proton Communist Party, Archive Abandonment, and Conspiracy, which I can't find how to add. I don't remember how. Might have to go in this. Oh, you do. I had a photo for it, but it won't apply for some reason. These fails in the air every time. But it's called Extraterrestrial, which the first chapter is very short. It's like 300-something words. It's called Basic Introduction to the Theory of Extraterrestrials. That's fair if I want to show. So let's get started with the VM. I got Temple OS here. We can just I had it working. But it ain't working now. What does it mean? What's that supposed to mean? Now will it work? Oh, what? Does that fix it? Okay. I'm just gonna do see that. Oh, let's actually full screen. Hang on. Control Alt. Control L. Oh, yeah. Full screen. See, I don't know how to do any of this. Take a tour. No. So if we do F1, there's a bunch of stuff we can do. I don't know how to use any of this. Which is honestly why I'm doing it on a video and not my actual machine, because I would kill myself if I did this on my actual machine. I have no clue what is suffering. Is that... Oh, is that what the God word means? Accounted. Prove. Lastly. Infants. Okay. During. Elements. So suffering accounted, prove, lastly, infants, during elephants. Elements, not elephants. So was the, I know this is just a bunch of nonsense, basically. Sorry to Terry, but I don't know if that's supposed to mean anything. You know, I'm surprised to let us erase it like that. I'm surprised it wasn't hard code not to be allowed. Smiting. Infinite. Builder. Busy. What? So it's Smiting Infinite Builder busied. I'm certain I said it wrong. P. Zip. Whoa. Busted zip. Buzzy. B-U-S-I-E-D. Hang on. Control L. What? Did I not just Control L this? Oh, that makes it a lot easier. Never mind. It's finicky. So let's just go with another God word. Oh, I messed up. Let's just erase it. Let's just go to another God word. Destroy. I'm sure that means what I think it means. Balancings. I'm sure that's what that means. I'm just not sure, so I didn't want to say it for him. Sure, balancing everlastingly. Achieve. malicious. I'm pretty sure I said that wrong. So we could honestly just make it drop a little message here by hiding that. And then just make our message. Destroy balancing everlastingly. Achieve malicious. I'm saying that wrong, I'm sure. What's this? Space is left click. Adam, what's it? I have no clue what I'm clicking, so I'm just going on 0. Oh, it's just making it worse. Escape. That's the command line, isn't it? Oh, it's changing. Oh. Is there anything else over here? God song. So what is this? Am I audio? Not. Seven's missing. Let's Control Alt Z this real quick. It's not letting me out. How do you full screen that? Oh, I'm out. Oh, I'm back in. I'm not sure how you get out. So let's not full screen that, just in case something happens, because I don't know. How do you board? The board button ain't boarding. Okay. Oh. 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 Whoa, 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 whoa. Control. What? Ew. What just happened here? I can't move my. Look. Can I do anything? I have to control Alt L. Resume. Okay, so this is. Please tell me that's rebooting. Okay, is it actually? Oh shit. I didn't mean that. So we don't actually activate. 101, so it's maxing out my force. I mean, that's fine for me for now. But this should not be frozen like that. Am I just retarded? So I'm just gonna just shut the, because reboot button ain't working. Shut down. Shutdown's not working. I want force reset. Force off. Now we can run it again. So we're at the fix. Let's go to code tools. Never mind, I'm not doing that. But, yeah, let's just try to learn some. Let's just shut this down and just learn some C++. Would copyright if I used to watch other people's content on here as C++ learning? How am I on C++ learn on this thing? Hang on.
users/my name /CLion project. I'm going to call this project Hello World, all in one word without any spaces. Okay. Now over here we can specify the C++ language standard. So by default version 14 is selected, but we can change that to a higher version like 20 or 23. Now because 23 is not official yet, I would suggest you to go with 20. Good. Now let's create this project.
At Full Sail, our technology programs are designed with a different approach to learning. We let our students get hands-on and start creating. They're learning to...
Alright, here's our first C++ program written in a file called main.cpp. If you accidentally close it, you can easily find it in the project window. So, expand this folder, and here's main.cpp. Now we have another file in this project called cmakelists.txt. We don't need that, so let's close it from here. Now we have the same concept in other IDEs like Visual Studio or Xcode. So we have a project, and that project contains a file that is the main.
So let's just try making that, I guess. This right? Or is that this? I'm assuming it's this. If it ain't, we can just fix it. Oh yeah, it's that because STD. Is there a way I can zoom, make this bigger? What does that mean?
File of our program. Now let's close this window. I'm gonna do.
Oh, there we go. STD. Send me NCD's home. Turn. That should functionally be How do we get the iOS stream then? Hang on. I'll commit Immortal Sin real quick. Oh, so I'm on .c. So I need .cpp. That don't sound good. So how do we make the file? Let's just erase this. Open folder. Now we're in this. Now just open this, make sure. Select new file, learn C++.cpp. So we need .cpp stuff basically. Now how do we collapse this whole tab? That tab's a bit of a mess. So now we should since when is this language ever, necessary besides stuff like OS, making OS and stuff like that? When is this necessary? Now it should hopefully work. Run. Try moving, it does that. Now, let it run. Oh my god. I got C and C++. Let's just add all the necessary. I hope this works. Save. Launch program. Home. Arc. Desktop code. C++. Build. Debug. Out. Debug. What the fuck? I just want it to run. Apparently it's a little too hard to ask. What? Oh, there we go. About damn no. But this is also getting in the way, not gonna lie. This video here. But I need it. Unless I can just code this way, I think. Should be manageable. Just put this here.
Delete all this code because we're gonna write it from scratch so you understand how everything works. Alright.
Well, I just see it from scratch.
Think of your TV. your TV has several functions. It has functions for changing the channel, controlling the volume, and so on. By the same token, a C++ program consists of tens or hundreds or thousands of functions, each serving a purpose. Now we have a special function here called main, which is the entry point to our program. This is like the power button of a TV, okay? Now note that C++ is a case-sensitive language, so it's sensitive to lowercase and uppercase letters. So make sure to type this exactly as I show you. So if you type
So you're gonna write all this,
here,
really?
this is gonna have a different meaning, okay? So we're defining a function. Now before the function name, we should specify
Hang on, I'm trying this quality up.
it's gonna
Look at this.
return.
Hang on, I'm turning this quality up. That's gonna fry my stuff, but I'm gonna just turn it up to 720 and just pop this back out down there.
This main function should return a value of type int, which is short for integer, and that represents a whole number, like 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. So when we run our program, the operating system, like Windows or Mac OS, is going to execute this function, and the value that this function returns tells the operating system if our program terminated successfully or not. Okay? So here we have int, followed by white space, and then the name of the function. Now, white spaces in C++ are often ignored, so whether we have 1 or 10 spaces, it doesn't really matter. But in terms of formatting our code, it's better to go with 1 space because we want to format this code professionally, just like how we write an article. We want to format our code just like a published article, okay? Now, after the function name, we type a pair of parentheses, and inside the parentheses, we can specify the parameters of this function. So a function can have 0 or more parameters. For now, let's not worry about them. We'll talk about them later. Then we type a space, again for proper formatting, followed by a pair of braces. Now inside the braces, we can type the code for this function. So whatever we type here will be executed when the operating system executes our main function. Now once again, in terms of formatting, there are two schools of thought for adding the braces. Some people like to add the left brace on the same line as the function. The other people like to put the left brace on a new line. There's really no right or wrong here. So whatever you prefer, just stick to that and make sure.
Wouldn't this one way I got to be easier though?
In this course, I'm
Make it
going
more
to put the
efficient
left
looking?
brace on the same line where we define a function. Okay? Now, in this function, we want to write code to print something on the screen. And for that, we're going to use the C++ standard library. So earlier I told you that the standard library provides a bunch of capabilities that we need in almost every application. So on the top, we type hashtag include, and in angle brackets, we specify the name of one of the files in the standard library, that is IO stream, which is short for input output stream. In this file, we have capabilities for printing something on the screen or getting input from the user. So just like a supermarket has different sections, the standard library also has different files, each serving a purpose. Now as we go through the course, you will learn about the other files in the standard library, okay? So back to our main function. Now here we type std, that is short for standard library, and this is like a bucket or a container for the features that are currently available to us. So the features we have imported on the top, okay? So if we type double colons, we can see all these features. Now there are a ton of features here, don't worry about any of them. In this lesson, we're going to use cout. That is short for character out.
Oh, that's what that means, character out.
Console out, that is
I always pronounce that as count.
So using this object, we can output one or more characters on the screen. So we type a space,
So then you just
followed by
do this.
two left angle brackets, another space, and then in double quotes, we type the text we want to print on the screen.
Then
So
just-
hello world, okay? And then we terminate this line using a semicolon.
That's all I can
Just like
remember.
how we terminate our sentences with a period.
Here's all I
In
can
C++,
actually remember.
this line is called a statement
Oh.
because it tells the operating system what to do. So whenever we type a statement, we should terminate it with a semicolon. Okay? Now finally, we return the value of 0, and once again, we need to terminate this with a semicolon. But why 0? Well, 0 tells the operating system that our program is going to terminate correctly. If we return any other values, positive or negative, that means our program encountered an error. Okay? So let's quickly recap what we have done so far. On the top, we included one of the files in the standard library for printing something on the screen. Then we defined the main function, which is the entry point to our program. Now, as you can see, the main function returns an integer, which is a whole number, like 0, 1, 2, 3, and so on. And in between the braces, we have written the code for this function. So, on the first line, we print something on the screen, and on the second line, we return the value of 0. As simple as that. This is your first C++ program. Next, I'm going to show you how to compile and run this program.
Imagine being able to build an app with your name on it, just by thinking about it. Meet Base
Mute my audio for
a complete AI creation.
For ads, I will mute my audio so you can't hear the ad. But guys, like, we both had to watch this ad. But I wonder if the speaker still pick up my
Describe what
voice.
you want, and watch it take
Was it picking up the audio still? So it picked up the audio, even though I'm
Band
muted.
any direction.
So I guess I have to go to
Tools
OBS.
one.
Didn't mute the desktop audio.
Platforms ready for many. From passion projects to enterprise grade
But it's been
systems,
fun, actually.
everything is built in and ready to launch. It's a new world of creation where you can go as far as your imagination takes you. Can you imagine it? Let's make your dream a reality right now.
My work is easy because I use ClickUp. Here's how I keep track of all my tasks. I start by brain dumping everything I need to get done.
I don't know what that was about. I don't know why it crashed like that. Like the tab. But I'm finishing something real quick, so. Can't you switch this to like negative? Look at how much time we got left. Can't run this. Alright, now let's get started. The desktop audio is back at least. So,
Now, to run this program, first we have to compile this code to machine code that can be run by the computer's operating system. So the machine code is basically the native language that a computer's operating system understands, and it's different from one operating system to another. So if we compile this code on a Windows machine, we get an executable, but that executable only runs on Windows. We cannot run it on Mac or Linux. If you want to run our application on a Mac computer, we have to take this code on a Mac and recompile it to get an executable for Mac, okay? So, back to our code. To run this program, we're going to click on this play icon on the toolbar. Now look at the shortcut. On Mac, it's Control and R. Always use shortcuts because they make your life easier. So, let's run this program.
my
Look at
bad.
this little window down the bottom. This is called the console or the terminal window. It's basically a way to see the output of our program.
That appears every time I
So
do
over
that.
here, you can see the hello
Yeah,
world
no
message. So we're using a console application here because console applications are easier to create, especially for people
Hello world.
learning a new language. Building applications with a graphical user interface or GUI is way more complex. So once you understand the basics of C++, you'll be ready to move on to writing applications with a graphical user interface if that's what you want, okay? Now, let's minimize this window. and make a tiny problem in this code. So I'm going to remove this semicolon. Now, let's rerun our program. Alright, look, this time we get a compilation error pointing to this line. So
Why the compilation
the error
error?
is reminding us that we have forgotten a semicolon. If you're starting out, it's completely normal to encounter these errors if you have a typo or miss a semicolon and so on. Don't let that discourage you. Remember, patience is the first skill of a good programmer. So if your code doesn't get compiled, pay close attention to this video, see what exactly I'm typing, compare it with your code. I promise, if you pay close attention, you'll be able to solve issues on your own. So, let's fix the issue. Alright, let's move on to the next lesson. Now, going forward, I want to change the colors here, and I wanted to show you how to do that because a lot of people ask me about the themes I use in my videos. If you're not using CLion, feel free to move on to the next lesson. So
we don't need to
on the top,
worry about this
you
part.
go to the Preferences menu.
Operators are
I'm gonna pop
across many
it
different
out.
Use this idea to solve this exercise. We declare a third variable, we can call that temp, and we initialize it with what we have. Now, let me give you a quick
Okay, here we go.
overview of how I've structured this course so you can get the most out of it. This course is the first part of my complete C++ series. Each part is about 3 to 4 hours long, so you can easily complete it in a day or two. In the first part, which is the one you're watching, we explore the basics. In this part, you will learn the fundamentals of programming in C++, data types, decision-making statements, loops, and functions. Now, throughout the course, I'm going to give you plenty of exercises to help you develop your problem-solving skills and build your confidence in writing code. In fact, many of these exercises are popular interview questions. In the second part, we'll explore intermediate-level concepts such as arrays, pointers, strings, structures, enumerations, and streams. And finally, in the last part, we'll be talking about the advanced concepts such as classes, exceptions, templates, containers, and more. So, by the end of this series, you will have a solid understanding of C++ and you'll be ready to apply it in real life. For example, if you want to build games with Unreal Engine, which is a popular gaming engine, you will have the necessary C++ skills to build games. You just need to learn about Unreal Engine. So I hope you stick around and master C++,
Top-on game right now,
one of
which
the
is very sad.
fastest and most efficient programming languages available.
Okay, I'll let the machine could run via that anyways.
Hey guys, Mosh here. I just wanted to say that you don't really have to memorize anything in this course. I've put together a complete cheat sheet and summary notes for you that you can download as a PDF right below this video. So click the link in the description to download this PDF. So I have done my best to create the simplest C++ tutorial for you. So if you enjoy this, please support my hard work by liking and sharing this video. And also be sure to subscribe as I
I will
upload new
actually
videos
probably
all the time.
make that post public.
Welcome back to the Ultimate C++ course. In this section, we're going to talk about the basics of C++. We'll cover variables and constants, naming conventions, coding mathematical expressions, writing to and reading from the console, working with the standard library, and comments. So by the end of this section,
I already know
you'll be able
comments
to
are
write simple
like this.
but really useful programs in C++. Now, let's jump in and get started.
Wait, does it work with just one? Or does it take two?
Alright, let's talk about variables. In programming, we use variables to temporarily store data in the computer's memory. Now, technically, a variable is the name of a location in memory where we can store some value. Now, because the value can change, we refer to this location as a variable. Now, to declare a variable in C++, first we have to specify the type of data we want to store. Let's say int or integer for storing whole numbers. Then we give our variable a proper, meaningful name, like file size. Now, there are various ways to name our variables. We have various conventions. We'll talk about them momentarily. Once we
That sounds
declare a
clear.
variable,
Makes a big
then
difference for
terminate
this.
statement.
I can't tell if that
Press
actually works or not.
Now, I want to emphasize that you should always use meaningful names for your variables. Don't use abbreviations like FS, because someone else reading this code may not know what FS is short for. Also, don't go for names like F1 or F2 or thing. These are all cryptic and ambiguous, okay? So we're going to call this file size, and then we can give it a value like 100. So we assign it the value of 100. Now here we can combine these two statements into a single statement, and that makes our code shorter and more concise. So right here, where we declare our variable, we can give it an initial value of 100. This is called initializing a variable. Now we don't need the second line, okay? Now let's declare another variable for storing numbers with a decimal point. For that, we're going to use a different data type, that is double. We're going to talk about different data types in the next section. So in this section, we're only going to work with integers and doubles. Now we're going to call this sales and initialize it to 9.99. Okay? Now that we have two variables, we can print them on the console. So instead of hello world, let's print file size. Run our program, we see 100. Beautiful. Now, while in
So it's just, oh fuck. So it's just file size. Let me run the file. What? Oh, that is 100. So that's why I'm supposed to print that or there, 100, right? Let me make sure. Yeah, 100. So it worked. I hope.
initializing variables is not mandatory, it's a good practice to follow. Let's see what happens if we don't initialize file size and print it on the terminal. Well, immediately we see this warning. Let's take a look.
If you are building games, your CI shouldn't come with a "don't touch this script." Every studio has this old Jenkins pipeline with 7 underlines of
You get an error,
that
like I
only
thought.
one person can
They
understand,
won't print nothing
and they are
either.
on PTO. TeamCity gives you
That's
real
all
UIs,
this.
DSL configs you can understand, and native build steps for your game engines, so that your pipeline doesn't live in one person's head. It lives in your repo. Try out TeamCity for
saying variable file size is uninitialized when used here. Initialize local variable file size. So our ID is complaining that you're using a variable that doesn't have an initial value. Let's run our program and see what happens. Take a look. Look, we get this random value, and if we run our program multiple times, we see a completely different value. This is what we call garbage. This is the data that is currently in memory. So, as a best practice, we should always initialize our variables before using them. So I'm going to set this to an initial value of 0. Now, in languages like C# or Java, we don't have to do this. If we declare an integer, it automatically gets initialized to 0. But this is not how it works in C++, okay? So this is how we can declare and initialize variables. And by the way, we can also initialize multiple variables on the same line. So over here, we can declare a second integer. Let's call that counter. So we add a comma and then declare counter, and optionally we can initialize it to some value. Now, while this works, it's often discouraged. As a best practice, we should declare each variable on a separate line. So I'm going to remove this and declare another integer like this. Okay? Now I have a small exercise for you. I want you to write code to swap the value of two variables. This is a common interview question, so let me explain what I mean. We're going to declare two variables, A and B. Now if we print,
So we should actually not gonna erase this. I'm just gonna collapse it, then collapse it, collapse it, then just. I just wanna make It's so much easier when returned.
And A, we're going to see 1 on the terminal.
Why is this
right?
appearing? Oh my god.
Now here's what I want you to do. Over here, I want you to write code to swap the value of these variables. So when we print A, we see 2, and when we print B, we see 1. Now I don't want you to reset these variables, so I don't want you to set A to 2 and B to 1. This is not the right solution. Let me give you a hint. Imagine, instead of these 2 variables, we have 2 buckets. The first bucket is filled with apples.
Hang
The
on.
second bucket
I forgot the return 0 part. So why does it have to tab it, really?
is filled with oranges. Now, if we have these 2 buckets in real life,
Can
how
I just
can we
have it?
swap their content? Think of a solution and then use that idea to write code to swap the value of these variables. It's not that difficult. Just spend a couple minutes on this and then come back see my solution.
How would you do that?
So, to solve this problem in real life, we need a third bucket. First, we empty our apples bucket into this bucket. Now the apples bucket is empty, so we can move the content of the oranges bucket here. Now the oranges bucket is empty, so we can move the content of the third bucket into this bucket. Now we have swapped the content of our buckets, right? So let's use this idea to solve this exercise. We declare a third variable, we can call that temp, and we initialize it with what we have in A, that is the value of 1. Now we can set A to B, so whatever we have in B, which is 2, is now going to be in A. And finally, we're going to set B to temp, so B is going to be 1. So now, if we print A, we're going to see 2 instead of 1. Let's verify this. So, let's run our program.
No,
There you
hang
go.
on, hang on, fuck.
Instead of
Forgot simple stuff, which is very sad. Jesus, so long, it's just a mistake of a thing. Whoever made this language, man, Jesus. You must have fun, Tom. I didn't mean debug. Jesus. Wait, 2766. What was? So why does it give me 32766? I did do it right, didn't I? I did everything right, didn't I? $32,765.
of 1.
Maybe it's
Let's
meant to do
verify
that.
this. So, let's run our program. There you go. Beautiful. So this was your first programming problem. If you got stuck, don't worry. It's completely normal. As we go through the course, I'm going to give you more and more exercises to help you build your confidence. Next, we're going to talk about constants.
What?
We're going to give you more and stuck to see temp. So B is going to be 1. So now, if we print A,
Do we take that
we're
out?
going to see 2
Let me take
instead
it
of
out.
1.
See if that
Let's
fixes it.
verify this. So, let's run our program. There you go. Beautiful. So this was your first programming problem. If you got stuck, don't worry. It's completely normal. As we go through the course, I'm going to give you more and more exercises to help you build your confidence. Next, we're going to talk about constants.
How about build some IQ first? Jesus, I don't know how to explain anything. do you mean we're not even on that no more? It's the thing about this still. Let me just mark this out then. See if that's what's causing it actually. I know it's not causing the blow one, but it's causing that extra thing to show up. It's not affecting this one, it's affecting that, causing that to show up still. You say it don't show up no more. 37 what? $32,766. So what got it different from this retard? Absolutely nothing. I did absolutely nothing different.
One. Let's verify this. So, let's run our program. There.
He's getting fucking towed. How the fuck? How am I getting? Is that not zero press? Is that oil press or something? That couldn't have been on like I thought. So now what? Oh, now it's gonna show nothing. Oh yeah, fuck it. Oh, those two. That right? Or was that just a look? I don't think it's just look. I think it actually fixed itself somehow. I genuinely believe it fixed itself. This thing fixed itself somehow. Is that supposed to happen like that? Is it supposed to fix itself eventually? Because I don't think I did anything different than what I had before.
There you go. Beautiful. So this was your first programming problem. If you got stuck, don't worry. It's completely normal. As we go through the course, I'm going to give you more and more exercises to help you build your confidence. Next, we're going to talk about constants.
Do we need to mark this out? If we don't, I can just copy and paste like most coders actually do.
There are situations where we don't want the value of a variable to change. This is where we use constants. Here's an example. Let's declare a variable of type double and call it pi and set it to 3.14. Now, with this we can calculate the area of a circle, right? But what if, somewhere in our program, I accidentally set pi to a different value, like 0? With this our calculations are going to go wrong, right? This is where we can use a constant to prevent the value of pi from changing. How do we do that? Very easy. We type the const keyword before declaring this variable. Now look, on line 5, we have a red underline that is a compilation error. So if you hover our mouse here, we see the error saying cannot assign to variable pi with const qualified type const double. And also, if we try to run our program, here in the terminal window we see an error. So take a look. This is the error. The error is happening in main.cpp on line 5 in column 8. And here's the actual error. Cannot assign to variable pi with const qualified type. Okay?
So do we just do
this will prevent us from accidentally modifying the value of this variable, or more accurately constant.
This is a team feeling zen. And these Dell powered servers that make them feel that way. They take care of themselves. So the team can spend less time stressing.
Hang on, let me just mark all this back out. So that's how you do a the reason I'm keeping all this, not erasing any of it, is because I do not want to lose this in case I forget half the stuff, which I know I will. Like that, I just forget to press the double.
Now let's talk about naming.
Oh, let's just right back. Turn 0. There we go. Just have that.
Conventions. So we have different conventions for naming our variables and constants, and different teams prefer different conventions. So there is really no right or wrong here. But let me show you the popular conventions. So earlier we declared a variable called file size. The way we name this variable follows what we call the snake case. So with this convention, we have to use lowercase letters to name our variables and constants. And if we have multiple words, we should separate them using an underscore. Now we have another convention called Pascal case, in which we should capitalize the first letter of every word. So the same variable using Pascal case looks like this. This is Pascal case. And by the way, the text that I put here that starts with 2 forward slashes, this is called a comment. We'll talk about comments later in the section, but for now just remember that comments are a way to describe our code. They don't get compiled, okay? Now we have another convention that is similar to Pascal case. The only difference is that the first letter of the first word should be lowercase. So, file size. This is camel case. We also have Hungarian notation, which is a pretty old notation and it's not relevant anymore. With Hungarian notation, we should prefix the name of our variables with a letter that specifies their type. So here we have an integer, so we use a lowercase I and then file size, just like Pascal case. This is called Hungarian notation. Now, quite frankly, this is a very old notation. It's not relevant anymore, but I still see people using it. I've seen it a lot in Windows source code. The reason this is not relevant anymore is because in the old days we didn't have good editors. So if we declared a variable somewhere and we wanted to know its type, we had to scroll up to find the type of that variable. So with Hungarian notation, we could look at a variable and immediately tell its type. But this is not the case anymore because these days we have powerful editors. If we simply hover our mouse over any variable, we can see its type. So here you can see file size is an integer variable, right? So these are the popular conventions out there. In this course, I'm going to use camel case for naming our variables and constants, and Pascal case for naming our classes. We'll talk about classes later in the course. Now, if you don't like these conventions and prefer to use snake
actually, like how C++ uses this. This just makes it so much easier than holding down Shift.
Understand and maintain it. Next, we're going to talk about mathematical expressions. So we have learned how to declare variables and constants. Now let's see how we can write mathematical expressions for performing calculations. This is where the fun begins. So I'm going to declare 2 variables, x and y. Now we can declare a third variable and set it to x plus y. So what we have here is called the addition operator, and x and y here are called operands. So now let's print z on the terminal, so std, double colon, cout, z. Take a look. So now we see 13. Beautiful. We also have subtraction, multiplication, and division. But division is a little bit tricky. Multiplication and division. But division is a little bit tricky. In this case, because we're dealing...
So one more run this, see if what actually does, because he didn't show. Well, he did, I just didn't pay attention. Is it hung on load terminals or something like that? What's going on here? What's the issues? 13. Is the answer 13? Is it bad? I don't know the answer.
So now we see 13.
Oh, it is.
We also have subtraction, multiplication, and division. But division is a little bit tricky. In this case, because we're dealing with two integers, the result of the division is going to be an integer, even though in reality, dividing 10 by 3 is going to result in a number with a decimal point, which we call a floating point number in program. So if we run our program, we see 3, but what if you want to see a floating point number? Well, changing the type of z to double is not going to solve this problem, because as I told you earlier, if both our numbers are integers, the result of the division is also going to be an integer. So to get a floating point number, we have to convert one of these numbers to a double. So, take a look. First, the warning goes away. Now, if we run our program one more time, look, we get 3.3333. Okay? So, this is how division works in C++. Now, let me revert this back to integer and integer. Now, we have another operator called modulus, which returns...
Yeah, he got it. So... let me just convert everything back to how he has it. I made error, it didn't care.
The remainder of division. So what is the remainder of division of 10 by 3? It's 1. Let's verify. There you go. Okay? Now, using these operators, we can modify our variables.
There's a point on it. Quad is being used. Quite literally being used. Where did that come from?
So, for simplicity, I'm going to remove y and z. We only have x and...
So remove y and z. Now I'm assuming we just erase the count, because what's the point?
We're going to print it on the terminal. Let's say we want to increment x by 5. Here's how we do it. We type x equals x plus 5. So first, this piece of code or this expression is going to get evaluated. The result is 15, and then the result will be stored in x. Okay? Now similarly, we can subtract 5 from x, we can multiply x by 5, and so on. Okay? Now we also have two more operators you need to know, and they are increment and decrement operators. So let's say we want to add 1 to x. We can say x equals x plus 1. That is totally fine, but there is a shorter and more concise way to write this code. We can say x plus plus. This is the increment operator. We also have decrement operator, but we don't have the equivalent for multiplication or division. Only increment and decrement, okay? Now, this increment operator, there are two ways we can apply it. We can apply it as a postfix or as a prefix. Let me show you the difference. So, I'm going to delete these two lines. Let's declare another variable called y and set it to x plus plus. If we apply this as a postfix, first, the current value of x, which is 10, is going to be assigned to y. So y is going to be 10, and then x will be incremented by 1. So if you run our program, x is going to be 11, but y is going to be 10. Let me show you. So we print x is 11, but if we print y is going to be 10. Okay? So let me add this as a comment for clarity. In this case, x is going to be 11, and y is going to be 10. Now, what if we apply the increment operator as a prefix? So we declare another variable and set it to plus plus.
What is Flasher doing? Hang on. Jesus. That's why I thought it was going to error, because he didn't explain anything. Fucking everything. Like, how does this thing know what is what? How does this thing know why is 11 without it been defined as 11?
X. In this case, because we applied this operator as a prefix, first the value of x is going to be incremented by 1, so x is going to be 11, and then the result will be stored in z. So in this case, both x and z are going to be 11. Let's verify. So if we print z, well, in this case, z is 12. I made a mistake because in the previous statement we incremented
12, like he said, because pretty sure because the top one.
x by 1. So if we comment out this line, it's not going to get executed. So now,
Yeah, we already know
when we
that.
run our program, x is going to be 11 and z is going to be 11 as well. Let's verify. So here's z, beautiful, and let's also print x. There you go. So here's what you need to take away. If you apply the increment or decrement operator as a prefix, first this piece of code is going to get evaluated. So first x is going to be incremented by 1, and then the result is going to be stored in the other variable. In contrast, if you apply this operator as a postfix, first the current value of x, which is 10, is going to be stored in y, and then x is going to be incremented by 1. Hey guys, Mosh here. I hope you have been enjoying this tutorial so far. I just wanted to let you know that this tutorial is the first hour of my complete C++ series where you will learn everything you need to know from the basics to more advanced concepts. So watch this tutorial to the end, and if you still want to learn more, use the link below this video to enroll in the full course. The complete course contains 3 parts, each part being around 3 to 4 hours long, so you can complete them in a day or 2. You will also get a certificate of completion and a 30-day money-back guarantee. Again, if you're interested, the link is below this video and in the description box.
We have got to the point where literally anybody can build a fully working app without knowing how to code. This is Base 44. This is the first look at the current industry-leading AI app builder, and you wouldn't believe the kind of apps that people are...
My back is killing me.
When writing mathematical expressions, especially the more complex ones, we need to take into account the order or priority of operators. Let me show you what I mean. So I'm going to declare a variable called x and set it to 1 plus 2 times 3. Now, let's print x on the console. What do you think we're going to get? Pause the video and think about it for a second. The answer is
No, right now, I'm kind of busy.
This is a very simple math question, but
Jesus.
unfortunately, a lot of people get it wrong. Here's the reason. In math, the multiplication and division operators have a higher order or a higher priority. So when evaluating this piece of code or this expression, first, this part is evaluated, so 2 times 3 is 6, and then 6 is added to 1, so the result is 7. Let's verify it. So I'm going to run the program. There you go, you have 7. Okay? So here's what I want you to remember. In math or any programming languages, the multiplication and division operators always have a higher priority than addition or subtraction.
The fuck is going on? I'm just gonna write this down and come out or remember it or know any of this stuff, so it's kind of fucking useless.
Operators. But we can always change the order of these operators using parentheses. So, in this case, if we wrap this piece of code with parentheses, first this piece is evaluated, so 1 plus 2 is 3, and then 3 is multiplied by 3. So the result is going to be 9. Let's verify. So run the program one more time. There you go. Okay? Now here's your exercise for this lesson. Take this mathematical.
Hang on, I'm gonna do this quick. What would this be? Hang on. I suck at math, so because they were making a math type of thing real quick. 9. Would that be 9? I'm not sure. When I put that there still, because in case I never run this code again, I could just move that without that part doing anything. So let's verify. Don't know what's to verify like a retard does. Calling him a retard yet he's teaching me. I'm the retard apparently. That the hell is that eagle less? I don't know how that was eagle less. So I'm just gonna assume doesn't. Actually, I'm gonna cover this up real quick. Oh, let's press the button while moving the button. Let's just hope it doesn't do anything to mess up. Oh, I forgot the ant up here.
Expression and implement it in C++. Assume x is 10 and y is 5. So if you implement this correctly, z is going to be 1.3. So pause the video and work on this for a couple minutes, then come back to see my solution. Alright, here's the solution. I'm going to declare x and set it to 10. Then y, we set it to 5. And for z, first we have to add 10 to x. But we have to wrap this in parentheses because this whole thing is going to be our numerator. Once we have the numerator, then we're going to divide it by 3 times y. But here's the tricky part. We have to wrap this whole expression in parentheses because the result of this expression is going to be our denominator. If you don't use parentheses here, our denominator is going to be 3 and the result is going to be different. So we wrap this whole thing in parentheses and now let's print z on the terminal, so we should get 1.3. Again, if you didn't solve this properly, don't worry, don't let that discourage you. Remember, you're a student, you're learning. If you know everything and you could solve every problem.
Probably one, then a bunch of 30s. So one and a bunch of 30s. Okay, oh, pretty neat.
You will be the one teaching, right? So, don't let that discourage you and let's move on to the next lesson.
Work today is...
Let me mark these out then. City lines of bullshit.
broken. Every day, people juggle so many different tools just to get...
So you have learned how to write to the console or the terminal lingo. In this lesson, I'm going to show you a few more techniques for writing to the console. So let's start by declaring a variable. Now let's say, on the terminal, we want to print x equals 10. How do we do this? Well, first we go in the std namespace and pick up cout, which is an object that represents the standard output stream. I know, it's a mouthful, but let me explain it for you. In programming, a string represents a sequence of characters. The standard output is our console or terminal window. So using cout, we can write a sequence of characters on the standard output, which is our console window, right? Now, these double left-angle brackets are called the string insertion operator. It's an operator for inserting something to our output stream. In this case, we're going to write a sequence of characters which we specify using double quotes. Now, in programming or C++ specifically, this is called a string. We'll talk about strings later in the course. So here we want to print x equals, and right after we want to print the actual value of x. So we terminate this statement and use cout one more time. But this time we print x, okay? Let's run our program and see what we get. So we see x is 10. Good.
I actually did not notice that. X equals 10. There we go.
Now, we can combine these statements into a single statement. So, we get rid of the second cout and this semicolon, and then put everything on the same line. Now we're chaining multiple string insertion operators. So if we run our program one more time, we get the exact same result. Beautiful. Now, what if we declare a second variable? So, let's declare y and set it to 20. And then repeat. So, one more time, cout, y equals, and then we add y. Take a look. Alright.
So everything ran the way he ran. I don't know how to fix the collapsing back onto the 10 value. So, which he's about to explain a
Here's
bit.
what we get. But wouldn't it have been nicer if y equals 20 was on the second line? Well, to solve this problem, right here, we need to add a new line. So, once again, we chain the string insertion operator, and this time we go in the std namespace and pick up endl, which represents the end of the line. Okay? Now, let's run our program one more time.
There we go. Okay, pretty cool, pretty cool.
That is much better.
1 minute,
Okay.
1 minute.
Now, once again, you can simplify this code by combining these two statements. So, again, we don't need the second cout, so let's remove that and this semicolon as well. Now, if we run our program, we get the exact same result. However, our code is not formatted properly. It's a little bit hard to read this code. So here I'm going to use tabs and spaces to align these operators. So what we have in our code looks exactly
it's
like
long,
what you'd
right?
expect in the Outlook. Okay? This is better. Now, there is a tiny problem in this code. We have a bit of a repetition of std double colons. So we have repeated this in 2 places. Let me show you how to simplify this code. So before our main function, we use the using directive to pick up the std namespace. So here we type namespace std. Now std is defined anywhere in this file, so we don't have to repeat it in multiple places. So we can simply access all objects in the std namespace. So let's remove that, and this one as well. And finally, let's realign these brackets. Great. So now our code is cleaner, more concise, and easier to read. Great. And here's your exercise. Imagine you have a store and you have made $95,000. Now as part of your tax return, you have to pay state and county tax at different.
So I'm gonna save this file. Can you not save? Save. I'm gonna shut this down. Return. Fix this. Like Jesus Christ, this is a mess. Full screen. There's a cord right there, but oh well. We full screen it. Can you do this? It should fix it. Never mind. I think we had tabbed out. Oh. I won't shut this down. I should look timers there, so I can actually see how long we spent here. So let's just go to fast. Let's see your laptop uptime. So our uptime is 1 hour and 26 minutes. And as soon as I got this laptop, I literally almost instantly started streaming. So we can already about guess. 1 hour and 23 minutes. That is the stream time. But I wish I had my cat in here to show y'all again. But she ain't here. She, like I said earlier in this room. But yeah, I think it's time to end the stream because that was actually kind of fun. But I had it saved because you can see right here it's saved. I don't see a mess in C++ file, but I have my. Oh wait, hang on. I can see fine. That makes it look a lot easier, a lot better in ours. Now it's a lot better. Got C++ here. Got the Python here. And hopefully as I learn more languages I can have more files like Java maybe. Let's just exhale that. Just go to code. There we go. Oh, y'all can't see. I forgot I did this. This is what I was doing. Simplified everything. All my Python files out here. So y'all already seen it. I have all my C++ here. Now I have all in this in the Python file. Hopefully I can learn, like, add more files here, like JavaScript and stuff like that. But yeah, it's been cool, fun. But yes. Thank y'all for watching. And I have a stream. Another stream that was published, but the reason y'all didn't apparently see any of it was because it's privatized. I thought I made it public. Didn't. Public. Partially blocked. Partially blocked. Fuck YouTube. I'm gonna check all the streams, make sure no one's not privatized, because I suck at making it public. Private. Now let's make it public, so it will be coming on to you all soon. I won't say something else. The first art stream was private. It has Torres logo, don't ask why. Most of my new ones have Torres logo, including this one. But yeah, I got her in the stream.